I used to think I could spot a scam by the font. Bank emails that looked like they were designed in 2007, scammy flyers taped to light poles, even the way a cashier's eyes slide sideways when a coupon won't scan. I'm good at that kind of pattern. I didn't realize the most expensive scam in my life would come from a voice I loved calling me by the name only she uses. I'm Ethan. 33. I run infrastructure for a payments startup in Austin, which is a fancy way of saying I make sure other people's money moves when and where it's supposed to and doesn't leak. My girlfriend Jenna is a social coordinator at an agency that makes moments for brands. She's the kind of person who can get a food truck to park outside a launch party on an hour's notice and make the CEO feel like it was their idea. We met at the Violet Crown during a documentary nobody actually watched. She laughed at a joke I made about fonts and grabbed my arm when a horn honked too loud in the movie, and that was it. You can build a life on a laugh and a hand. We built one that looked like Austin pretending to be Portland, apartment off South Lamar with a balcony that convinced us plants would love us, a calendar full of shows at Mohawk, tacos on Tuesdays because making ritual out of cliches is how you make a city yours. She has this habit of taking photos of my hands while I'm chopping onions because she says they look like I'm about to fix a century. I have the habit of labeling the breaker box because I like knowing which switch kills the living room and which kills the hope. We fought sometimes like people who grew up in different houses do. She came from noise, big dinners, doors that never closed all the way. I grew from quiet. She waited for magic. I planned for parking. The first time she told me, "You're boring," she said it like a compliment. The second time, it was not. A year in, the first weird thing wasn't even an alarm, it was her phone. She had this new Ladies Unplugged group that did Sunday hikes and Wednesday journaling and one weekend a month in the hill country to reset. I made jokes about secret cults and blood oaths. She made jokes about me being the guy who sits outside with binoculars. We were fine. I even bought her a ridiculous wide-brim hat because if you're going to do a thing, do it photogenic. Then I started getting transaction alerts for gas stations in places we didn't go. A Valero outside Waco at 2011 a.m., a QT outside Temple. We were in bed at 11,030 that night, I remember because I'd been reading a thread about the right way to oil a cast iron, and she'd fallen asleep mid-sentence because of course she had. My card's location services are freakishly accurate. It was her card, not mine. But her card was on our shared spend app, and I see everything because I'm the nerd who set it up. Driving at midnight, I teased at breakfast, sliding coffee across the counter. You left me for a QT taquito? She blinked with sleep still on her like glitter. Oh, Ali's boyfriend borrowed my card, she said. He left his wallet at the studio. He needed gas to get home. I'm billing her. Relax, accountant. I relaxed. That's another thing about scams. They train you with reasonable first. 2 weeks later, she planned a reset trip to Marfa with her unplugged crew. 5 women, a rented Airbnb with Adobe in the listing, the kind of place that thinks ceramic mugs are better for your soul than glass. She said they were going Thursday night, coming back Sunday. No boys, no phones, yes stars. She kissed me like she meant it, and then again because she likes to lock feelings in like a screen door. Thursday at 7:05 p.m., I carried her bag to the rideshare. She slid into the back seat in that careful way she has to not crease a dress even when she's just wearing leggings and a t-shirt. Don't email too loud, she called out, doing her thing where she throws a joke over her shoulder like a scarf. I waved. I watched the taillights. I went back upstairs and did exactly what she teased me about. I opened my laptop and emailed too loud. At 9:04 p.m., I got a call from a number with no caller ID. I let it go to voicemail because I don't answer unknown numbers at night. It called again. Then my phone buzzed with a text and the kind of photo that makes your stomach learn a new verb. Jenna, crying, eyes red, a bruise below her cheekbone like a fingerprint. The text said, "Ethan, pick up, please, they'll hurt me." I answered, and my mouth was already saying baby before my brain caught up. The voice on the other end wasn't hers first, it was a man's, flat and irritated. "You're Ethan." "Yes," I said. "Where is she? Who is this?" "You will listen," he said. "You will not call the police. You will go to your computer and open your Zelle. You will send $20,000 to the name I tell you. If you call anyone, we will break her arm. Say yes." Everything in my head narrowed to a dot. "Let me talk to her," I said. "Put her on, please." A noise like someone being allowed to breathe, then her voice, far away and too bright, like a person practicing panic. "Ethan, oh my God, I'm okay, just do what they say. They said if I don't." "Where are you?" I asked. Calm. I turned on call recording on my phone's second line with the part of my brain that still knows where the emergency exits are. I don't know, she said. A warehouse, maybe? It smells like? The man's voice again, angry, no describing. I glanced at the window. Outside, South Lamar looked like Thursday pretending to be a holiday. I need proof of life, I said, ridiculous because I was hearing her and also necessary because I needed the part of me that audits lies to be awake. Put her closer to the phone, ask her what my sister named her baby. A beat. We don't have time. Then I don't have money, I said. The bank flags amounts over 2,000 after 9. If you want 20 now, you want me to call my bank, and if I call my bank, they're going to ask me why, and if I say my girlfriend's kidnapped, they're going to call the police for me. So we're both having a bad night unless you let me verify. A long sigh, like someone who hates it when people on TV ask for specifics. Then her voice again, shaky. Claire named her baby Rowan, she said. You hate the name, but you pretend you don't. You said we can call him Ro when he's older until he learns to throw things. That was true. That was us. My heart kicked my ribs in relief and then sat back down because this could still be a performance. Okay, I said. 20,000. Give me a name. Send to C. Vega, the man said. Zell. Then call this number. Then we talk about the rest. The rest? I said send 20 now, he snapped. You think I'm running a charity? I think you're running a time budget, I said, because when I'm scared I get annoying. Give me 15 minutes. I'll call my bank. They're going to fight me. I'll go to my neighbor if I have to. He's on my account. I'll call back. He started to say something. I hung up, because sometimes the only power you have is creating the shape of a conversation you can survive. I didn't open Zelle. I did two things at once because panic likes to make you choose, and I hate playing games I don't write rules for. First, I opened Find My. Jenna had shared her location with me a year ago and never turned it off because she thinks privacy is a vibe, not a setting. Her dot was gray, location unavailable. Of course it was. Second, I opened the Items tab. 6 months earlier, after a weekend trip where her bag got lost and she had to wear my hoodie cutoffs outside a winery, I had tucked an AirTag into the lining of her suitcase. She laughed at me for being a dad. I told her it was for vibes. The bag's dot was blue. It was moving north on I-35. Marfa is west. I-35 north means Waco, Dallas. Or it means not Marfa. I screenshotted the map. I started a screen recording because my future self would need this in a room with people who don't like being called late. I texted my friend Priya, who works nights at the Austin PD Dispatch Center. Not to get her to send a squad car, not yet, but because if this turned into a report later, I wanted a human who knows me to say, he is not dramatic, he is precise. She wrote back, call 911 if she's in danger. I wrote, staging? Not sure. Pinged bag shows I-35N. She replied, call 911 and tell them you think it's a scam kidnapping. We get these. Keep them on the phone. I dialed 911. The call taker sounded like she could talk a person down from a ledge while changing a tire. I explained the call. I explained the proof. I explained the suitcase. I didn't say the word scam because I didn't want anyone to relax too soon. I didn't say the word staged because I didn't want my voice to collapse under it. She transferred me to a detective on duty, a woman named Martinez, who asked steady questions that made my jaw unclench. Did the caller demand wire or crypto or gift cards? Zelle, I said. Did they ask you not to call anyone? Yes. Did the background sound like a car? I replayed the tape. Blinkers, airflow, music low like a radio someone forgot to turn off. She said, okay, in a way that made my heart let in a molecule of air. Keep him talking, don't send money. We're looping in DPS because you're going interstate. Text me the AirTag link. Also, do you have any reason to believe your girlfriend is staging this? And I need you to be honest. I was quiet for 2 full inhales. I have reasons to be suspicious, I said. She's had cards used at odd times. Her last location sharing was turned off. And, this is going to sound petty, but she posted a sunset photo to her story at 8:02 p.m., tagged Marfa and the sunset in Austin at 7:46 today and in Marfa at 7,056. The shadows in the photo looked wrong. It looked like a photo from last year. Detective Martinez didn't laugh. We've seen that, she said. People schedule stories to make alibis. Send me the screenshot. I'm going to call DPS and get a trooper to eyeball that route. If the bag is in a car, they'll probably kill the AirTag soon. Let's move before they remember. The number called back at 9,029. I put the phone on speaker, tapped record on the desk recorder I use for work notes, and let my mouth make a shape around words I hoped sounded like a man with a bank problem, not a man calling a cop names in his head. "I need an hour," I said. "Bank locked my transfer." "Don't play," he snapped. "You have 20 minutes. "I can do 10 if I drive to the branch," I said. "If you want this now, you want me to go to the branch." Jenna's voice, closer this time, urgent. "Ethan, please, just do it. I'm so scared." "What do you see?" I asked. "Describe one thing in the room, not smell. See?" "One thing." "Metal shelves," she said. "There's a calendar with a truck on it." "Good girl," the man growled, like that was a phrase he practiced for effect. He took the phone back. 10 minutes. I grabbed my keys and got in my car. I didn't go to the branch. I drove aimlessly toward the river because moving kept my hands from doing the wrong kind of shaking. I called Martinez back on Bluetooth. "They want 10, I said. "You have 10. "We have a trooper near Temple," she said. "Your AirTag just pinged at a Buc-ee's in New Braunfels." She cursed softly, like a human, not a detective. "They're northbound but still near you." The car stopped for 5 minutes. Then it got back on the highway. "We're trying to catch up. Can you stall without making them escalate?" "Escalate how?" I asked, not sure whether I was braver or dumber. "Yelling, threats, more money, dropping her on a random road," she said. "Or switching to gift cards and you running around like a lunatic. They like Target. Don't go to Target." "I won't," I said. What if she's doing this?" "If it's staged," Martinez said, "our job is still to make sure nobody gets hurt and to hand the DA a file that reads like a calendar. Your job is to stay boring. These guys live on adrenaline and mistakes. Don't give them yours." When the number called again, I let it ring twice and answered like the bank had just put me through 3 menus. "I'm at the branch," I said into the quiet of my Prius. "They're telling me there's a hold. They want to know what it's for." "For your business," he said immediately. "Tell them you're paying a supplier." "They're going to ask which supplier," I said, "because it's Austin and they do that. Give me a company name." There was a pause. If you've never heard a criminal have to invent nouns on a clock, it's a sound you don't forget. "Vega Supply," he said finally, because he had given me C. Vega earlier, and criminals like to recycle. "Okay," I said. "What's their address?" "What?" "The bank asks if the company is local," I said. "Do you want this to work or do you want to argue with a guy with a tie while he presses enter slowly?" He swore, not at me. I could hear the blinkers again. I could hear tires. I could hear, and this is the part my brain wouldn't let go of, music that she has never listened to in the entire time I've known her. A house loop, a male vocal, the exact playlist a certain kind of 20-something in Austin plays on a Tuesday at Volstead when the bartenders are bored. I put my blinker on and turned into the Trader Joe's lot because waiting at a light was going to break me. "Okay," I said again, "I'll tell them Vega Supply in Pflugerville. Give me 30 minutes. I'm going to walk in the branch and tell them I need an override." 15, he said, "or we send you a picture you don't want." Jenna's voice, tiny. "Please, Eth." "I'm moving," I said, and hung up because if I kept hearing her like that, I was going to crash into a Subaru and then we would have a very stupid obituary. Priya pinged. DPS trooper pulled over a gray Tahoe on 35 near San Marcos. "Wrong car, elderly couple." "Sorry." Martinez, bag pinged again near Kyle. "We think they turned off the interstate to avoid us. Also, your girlfriend's phone did a silent location update from a cell tower in South Austin at 8007, not Marfa. Not even close." I pulled into a space between 2 SUVs and put my head on the steering wheel for exactly 5 slow breaths. Then I sat up because the man would call, and he did, and I needed to buy one more chunk of time big enough for the world to get between them and me. "I need your Zelle limit raised," he barked. "No branch. Do it in the app. I know how banks work." "Then you know the app pings a human at 10, I said. "If you want it not to ping a human, you accept a split. 10 now, 10 tomorrow morning at 9001. Silence. Then the phrase I hadn't heard yet, the one that pinged my professional nerves. "We can take Bitcoin," he said. "You want that option?" "No," I said. "I'm not sending magic internet money to somebody named Vega Supply. You'll take 10 now or you'll take 20 at 9. Choose." He breathed through his nose. The blinker ticked, or maybe it was my pulse. 10, he said. "Now. Send to C, Vega, then call back, then directions." I opened my banking app and made a transfer to my own savings account, mislabeled Vega in my contacts. I took a screenshot that would look convincing through a smudged phone camera. Then I called him back and put just enough pant into my voice. Done. It bought me 9 minutes. At minute 4, Martinez texted, DPS trooper spotted a Civic with paper plates pulled over near Buddha, woman in passenger seat matching Jenna's description. They're following without lights. Don't intervene. Stay on the call. At minute 9, he called again. We see it, he said. Good boy. Now, second half. I told you, I said. Tomorrow. You think I'm an idiot. I think you're in a car headed north on 35 in a Civic with paper plates, and you stopped at Buc-ee's, I said, and savored the 2 seconds of silence that followed like it was whiskey. So no, I don't think you're an idiot. I think you're bored. Here's a game. Drop her at the Home Depot on Stastny so she can take an Uber to my place, and I won't say your name out loud into the phone. What name? He said, but he said it too fast. Caleb, I said, because the earlier Valero charges had come from Caleb the Fife on Jenna's Venmo notes when she paid someone for gas, and I needed to be wrong in a way that made him talk. Short for C. Vega, right? The guy who's always at the studio. He laughed then, genuine, delighted. I'm not Caleb, he said, and there it was, the sound of a lie knocking over its own water glass. You think you're in a movie. You think she didn't meet new people. You think she doesn't like house music. He hung up before I could shove words into the gap he'd opened. The next ping from the AirTag was a blue dot in a strip mall in Kyle behind a closed nail salon. My phone lit with a DPS number. A trooper with a voice like a patient uncle said, We got eyes on 2 in a silver Civic. Male driver, female passenger, female looks fine, talking, not bound. We're going to stop them on a turn signal violation. Stay off this lot. If she calls you, keep her on. If he calls you, let it go to voicemail. I said yes to all of it, and then did the one thing my body wanted to do that didn't ruin the moment. I walked into the Trader Joe's and stood in the floral section pretending to decide between eucalyptus and sunflowers while texting my sister a sentence so sparse it felt like a confession, having a day. If I don't pick up, call me at 10. The call didn't come, the photo did. A minute later, Martinez texted me a shot from a body cam, Jenna standing outside a Civic with her arms folded, jaw set, eyes not red, no bruise. A trooper's hand was open in front of her, not touching, offering. The caption, She's safe. I'm bringing her to you. She is saying she staged it because her friend needed money. She says she was scared to admit it. Are you home? I wanted to throw up and laugh and cry and sleep, in that order. I wrote, I'm home. I wasn't. I was standing next to Basil, but I could be, and if I wasn't, she'd fill the time with a story. And if there's one thing I've learned in a year with Jenna, it's that she can make you a star in a story you didn't audition for. Detective Martinez met me outside my building at 10,013. She had the face cops have when they've already heard the day's worst sentence and are just waiting for paperwork to catch up. She says it was a joke gone wrong, Martinez said. Then she said she was forced. Then she said it was TikTok. Then she said, you never listened to her. I need you to breathe. I'm breathing, I said. She's inside with a trooper, Martinez said. We're going to get statements. We're going to be kind because nobody's missing and nobody's bleeding. But I need you to understand the DA might still call this extortion. They like to call things extortion when men lose 20 grand. Did you send any money? No, I said. I sent myself fake proof. Good, she said, and for a second the tough shell cracked and a person looked at me like a sister. I'm sorry. When I stepped into the living room, Jenna stood up like she'd been practicing the movement in a mirror. She was wearing the same leggings, the same sweatshirt. The bruise was gone because it had been makeup. She opened her mouth with a shape I recognized. The apology shaped like an explanation. Don't, I said. My voice surprised me. It didn't sound like a man on fire. It sounded like a man who'd found the fire exit. She closed her mouth. Martinez glanced between us and then began the slow, steady dance of getting the truth into boxes the law recognizes. Jenna said she'd been with friends, that someone knew. Leo had convinced her she could do a money thing, that wealthy men do for fun, that it wasn't kidnapping, it was performance, that I was so controlled, she thought, poking my shell might break something open, that the plan was to teach me a lesson about flow. Whose car? Martinez asked. Leo's, Jenna said. Full name. She said it like a throw, like a dare that had just realized it was a boomerang. Liam Ortega, she said. He DJs, he knows people. Where's Liam now? Martinez asked. I don't know, Jenna whispered, and for the first time all night the words sounded like something the truth had led into the room. I stood there and watched my life make a shape around a decision I didn't want to make yet. The trooper handed me a form with boxes to check, victim or complainant. I didn't check either. I signed box C, statement on file. Please contact if needed. When they left, The apartment was too big for two people who had both decided against sleep. Jenna stood with her back to the bookcase, hands fluttering at her sides like birds that don't know where to land. "Ethan." "You were never going to Marfa," I said. "You posted a photo from last fall. The light gave you away." She laughed once, sharp. "Of course you made the sun into homework." "And the bruise was makeup," I said. "And Vega is a guy named Liam." She looked small then. "We were going to do it once," she said. "Just once. I swear his friend's done it, like 3 times. Wealthy husbands just to make them." "Appreciate you," I finished, "because mercy is a muscle too. What were you going to do with the money?" "Pay off my credit card," she said. "Buy us tickets. Fix the AC in my car. I don't know. It was just numbers." "Numbers," I said softly, "because numbers are my job, and my job is not to let numbers become lies you can live inside without air." "Do you hate me?" she asked, a child's question from a woman who wears adulthood like a festival wristband. "I hate this," I said. "I hate that you taught your mouth how to make my name into a weapon, and then you used it on me, and then you told yourself it was love." She winced like I'd thrown something. "Don't talk like that," she said. "You turned everything into court." "There's going to be court," I said. "Maybe not for you, maybe only for Liam. But somebody wrote a script with my name on it and tried to charge me $20,000 to hear the next scene." She cried then, real and ugly, because those are the only kind that matter. I stood there and didn't touch her because the kindest thing I could do for both of us was let the space be true. In the morning, my bank called. A man with a voice like his tie verified that a transfer had been attempted to an account they had since flagged for suspicious activity. He asked if I'd authorized it. I said no. He said the magic words any person who sleeps next to other people needs to memorize. "We've put a note on your profile. No external person can authorize transfers by voice or text." I thanked him in a voice that felt like it had earned that particular gratitude. At noon, Detective Martinez texted, "We picked him up at a Whataburger outside Round Rock. He had a burner, 2 preloaded Zelle accounts, and a screenshot of your bank app. He's saying it was her idea. We're bringing it to the DA." I stared at the message until the letters looked like a modern art piece. Then I put my phone down and wrote 3 lists on a legal pad because writing makes rooms less loud. Who to tell, what to freeze, what not to do. Under who to tell, my sister, my boss, Priya. Under what to freeze, joint accounts, shared passwords, her access to my Amazon because the quiet thefts hurt the most. Under what not to do, I wrote in block letters, don't post, don't perform, don't negotiate with a memory of her that makes it easier to lie. Jenna came out of the bedroom with a duffel that made a soft thud when it hit the rug. "I'll go to Ali's," she said, not asking. "I'll talk to whoever calls. I'll say it was me." "Tell them it was both of you," I said, "because it was. And tell them I'm not sending you to jail. I'm sending you to adults." She nodded. Then, in a small voice that came from a kitchen in a different apartment 3 apartments ago, she said, "Do you think I'm evil?" "No," I said. "I think you let a man teach you that panic is a shortcut and that people who love you are banks." I paused. "And I think you forgot that I'm a human who hates house music." Her laugh was a choke. She put her hand on the door jamb and stood like she was taking communion. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know," I said. "Me too." When she left, the door clicked with the politeness of endings. I sat on the floor with my back against the couch and looked at the line the afternoon sun makes across the hardwood and tried to decide what to do with the part of me that still wanted to make a sandwich for someone who tried to sell me a problem. The DA called on Tuesday. A woman whose emails probably looked like a lot of redacted things explained the options in words that felt like math, cooperation agreements, pretrial diversion, the difference between a felony that ruins your life and a misdemeanor that rearranges it. "The person who was in the car is cooperating," she said carefully. "He's already given us most of the messages. We'll need yours. We'll need your recording. We might need you to testify at a hearing about how the call sounded. We have 3 other victims who sent money." 3 other men. 3 other dots on a map that probably looks like South Texas showing off how easy hope is to puncture. I said yes to everything that sounded like paper and no to everything that sounded like vengeance. "I don't want a trophy," I said. "I want a boundary." "You'll get one," she said. "We'll ask for a protective order. We'll ask for restitution. We'll ask for consequences that teach both of them the new vocabulary words." "What are the new vocabulary words?" I asked. "Extortion," she said. "Conspiracy. Fraud. Boundaries." Then, because she's a person, she added, "I'm sorry, it's always worse when it's an insider." The first time I told this out loud to someone who didn't wear a badge, it was to my boss, a man who looks like he sleeps in a Patagonia. "Take time," he said. "Do the boring things. Turn off her access to everything. I'll cover you for a week." "I don't need a week," I said, "because men who run servers mistake uptime for holiness." "You do," he said. "Your brain needs to learn it can do a day without being asked to send money to not get punished." That night, I opened our photo albums and scrolled back to the day Jenna took a picture of my hands and told me they looked like they could fix a century. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't text her the photo and ask to borrow that compliment. I closed the album and put my head on the table and thought about everything in our apartment that is mine because I paid for it, and hers because she chose it, and ours because we believed in it, and how sometimes the only way to honor ours is to admit when it turned into lie. The next morning, a letter arrived from the DA's office that said a hearing was scheduled in 2 weeks to consider pretrial conditions and a protective order. Detective Martinez's name was at the bottom with the kind of signature that makes you believe in pens again. I pinned it to the corkboard and wrote under it, with a Sharpie, a sentence I wish I'd learned years ago: "Love is not an excuse to ignore alarms, even when the voice sounds like home." And because I know you're wondering, no, I didn't text her the next day when my hands forgot what to do. I texted my sister. She said, "Come over. We ate spaghetti with too much butter," and she let me hold her baby, and he grabbed my nose like a lever attached to a machine that makes uncles laugh. When I got home, there was a Target bag on my door with 2 candles and a note from Priya that read, "If your apartment smells like a Trader Joe's floral section again, I will call a therapist on your behalf." I lit one, and it smelled like oranges and clean paper. I slept for the first time in 5 days. The second half of this story starts at a hearing room where a judge wears patience like a suit, and a man named Liam discovers that it was just a prank, is not a sentence the law believes. It includes a family that splits into people who think saving a woman from her worst idea is betrayal, and people who think it's the first adult thing I've ever done. It includes screenshots, AirTag pings, a playlist I will never be able to hear again without wanting to throw my phone, and a decision I make with a good lawyer about what it means to be safe in a city that likes to pretend the universe is always on your side. But that's later. For now, this is the part where I learned that scams don't always come with bad fonts. Sometimes they come with a sunset from last year, and the exact way your name sounds when a person who knows you too well wants to change the subject. The hearing room was colder than logic, the kind of cold that makes you regret thin socks and bad decisions. The judge wore patience like a uniform, and the bailiff had the posture of a metronome. Jenna sat on the left at a table with a public defender who looked 12 until she opened her laptop and smiled in a way that made the room stop underestimating her. Liam sat a row back, not quite with her, not quite separate, in a shirt you wear to weddings when you don't like the groom. The DA laid the bones out: attempted theft by coercion, conspiracy, use of telecommunications to commit fraud. She said simulated kidnapping like it was a term she uses too often lately. Then she played my call. My voice sounded like I'd stuffed cotton in my chest and was trying to breathe around it. His voice sounded like a man who's watched too many movies about being in control. Jenna's voice. My name in that pleading tone landed in the room like a trick everyone immediately understood: the blinker, the playlist. The line where I told him buck ease. The officer in the corner smirked at that part and then stopped because professionalism is a habit. The judge asked me 3 questions that mattered. Did you send money? No. Have you had contact since? No. Do you want a protective order? Yes. Jenna didn't look at me. The PD laid a careful path. First offense, no money transferred. Immediate cooperation with DPS after the stop. Immature stunt she was led into by an older man. She's 31, he's 28, but lawyers bend numbers. The DA didn't argue everything. She argued the parts that have sharp edges. 3 other incidents with 3 other women using the same pattern, 2 of whom sent money. Liam's burner with scripts for proof of life. Lines, the AirTag that saved my night by being quietly honest. The judge granted the protective order for a year. No contact in any format. No third-party messages. No vague story sub-posts that anyone in this room could reasonably interpret as being about me. It was the first time I've heard a judge speak fluent internet. She released Jenna on personal recognizance with conditions that made the PD's jaw tense. Surrender passport, no social media, direct messaging, weekly check-ins with pretrial services, curfew. She set a bond for Liam with zeros that made his face go honest and green. After, in the hallway, Martinez put a hand on my shoulder like a seatbelt you didn't know you needed. "Good job, not improvising," she said. "Most people improvise here." Is she going to prison? I asked, and hated myself for needing a word that big. Probably not, she said. Diversion if she plays adult. Community service, restitution, he's different. He's got pattern. Pattern is a judge's love language. My sister wanted to come to the next hearing. She sat in the back with a baby strapped to her and a stare that could rot paint. Liam pled out that morning like a man who had seen the discovery and knew there were no rugs left to lift. Attempted theft by coercion, felony, organized fraud, downcharged, unlawful use of a telecommunications device. 18 months in county with work release, 3 years probation, restitution to the 3 who sent money, a no-contact order with me that reads like poetry. Defendant shall not utter the complainant's name on any platform, public or private. His lawyer tried to barter time for platform restrictions, and the judge did a little shrug that means, try me, and then didn't budge. Jenna took the diversion path. It read like a syllabus, 200 hours community service, not with kids. A financial boundaries course, individual counseling, apology letters to victims submitted to the court, not DMs, reimburse the state for costs, stay employed, no new criminal anything, check-ins, and a signed agreement that if she violated any of it, the DA could reinstate the charges and we'd all get dressed up again. The apology letter came through the official portal 2 weeks later and felt like an object I didn't order. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It said the right verbs. I lied. I planned. I scared you. I used your love. I am sorry. The sentence that stuck was small. I thought panic would move the math. It's exactly right. It's why she loved house music that week. Constant beat, no rest, no thinking. Panic as tempo. The Ladies Unplugged group cratered in a week. Half of them posted soft statements about growth and accountability. The other half locked their accounts and moved to a new Slack called Reset Reel that a friend of a friend invited me to by accident. I didn't join. I don't want to be in a room where people learn how to rename shortcuts, boundaries, and then invoice the universe. I did the boring things. I froze joint accounts. I moved my paycheck to a bank Jenna never had access to. I rotated passwords like seasons. I set a note on my file at the bank, no peer-to-peer transfers above 500 without in-person ID. I turned off voice authorizations on my utilities and asked them to add a note that says, in effect, if a man who sounds exactly like me calls and cries, do not be seduced. I removed her access to the Amazon account, which sounds petty until you have lived through returns weaponized as stealth cash. Work asked me to do a brown bag talk about kidnap scams, and I said yes because the only way to make a night like mine matter is to turn it into a checklist someone else can grab when their brain is busy dying. I put 4 bullets on a slide titled Believe, Verify, Stall, Log. Believe just enough to keep them on the line. Verify with a detail only your person knows that can't be crowdsourced from Instagram. Stall with bank bureaucracy, criminals hate Muzak. Log everything. Make your future self a file. I played the part of a call where he offered Bitcoin to our CFO and watched a man who has survived 9 audits wince like he swallowed a tack. There were quiet karmas. Liam's DJ feed went private. The venue he used as a studio posted a breezy "We vet all our artists" note that read like a lawyer had pulled verbs out and replaced them with nouns. A woman messaged me from San Antonio to say she'd almost sent him 15 grand last winter and now she felt less stupid. She's not. Stupid is when you ignore alarms because they're inconvenient. She heard hers and sat on her hands. Jenna's mother called me once. I didn't pick up. She left a long voicemail that started with, "We always liked you," and ended with a quieter sentence that felt like a breath. I'm sorry she learned this from me. I don't know the story behind that. I don't need to. You can love someone and still not take their homework. Jenna tried 3 times to breach the order without technically breaching. A playlist showed up in my Discover Weekly full of songs she knows I use to do dishes. An unmarked envelope came with 2 Polaroids from early days and no note. The kind of manipulative minimalism that thinks silence writes better than ink. A mutual friend, accidentally, mentioned she'd seen Jenna at H-E-B looking at the pasta I buy. I forwarded each thing to Martinez and then bought different pasta, not because I'm scared, but because I don't like being turned into a scavenger hunt. The enemies. To adults arc in my head, that fantasy where someone realizes the harm, repairs it, and the world claps, never came. What came were Tuesdays. Trash night. New routes for Poppy because she likes variety and I like reasons for my legs to be tired. A coworker named Nia who brought me frozen enchiladas and told me about her divorce in sentences so practical I wanted to frame them. A Saturday I spent with my sister's kid at a park watching him eat mulch and laugh like dirt is a punchline. Nights where I didn't check a door twice because I remembered I changed the lock. The civil part of the mess took longer. The insurer for Jenna's public defender sent me a form for restitution. I filled it out with a number that looks like zero because no money left. They still issued a check for $0 because systems are adorable. The DA's office asked me to sign a victim impact statement. I wrote 3 sentences. You tried to make my name a lever. You taught me how loud alarms can be when they wear your voice. I choose a life where panic doesn't get to move math. The Ladies Unplugged founder DM'd me from a new account to explain context. I didn't read it. I screenshotted the profile pic, the bio, soft leadership for hard times, and blocked. I don't go to cult meetings because my brain likes sugar. 90 days into her diversion, Jenna's lawyer emailed mine to ask if I'd consider lifting the order to allow therapeutic closure. That phrase alone earned a no. Closure is a door you close by yourself. I hope her therapist gives her better words. Not my job. Sometime in month 4, I ran into Liam's bail conditions in the wild. I was at a coffee shop and a guy was complaining about this city and how nobody can take a joke. And his friend said, "Bro, you kidnapped a girl for TikTok." And the first guy said, "Too loud, it wasn't kidnapping, it was content." And I realized the universe was giving me the gift of not needing to make a speech. I paid and tipped and left. If you're waiting for the big twist, he was cheating, she was cheating. There was a secret baby. There isn't one. The twist is small and mean and true. The person you trust can learn a new trick and try it on you. And the real twist, you can be the adult who doesn't break in response. There's no applause for that. There's sleep. There's not getting a call from your bank asking if you authorized a transfer to a man named after a star. A year later, the order expired. The DA sent a summary, Jenna completed her hours, attended counseling, wrote letters that didn't read like PR, and paid her program fees. The case closed. Liam finished his sentence and moved to Dallas County Supervision. He owes the other victims for 3 years. His "I'm back" post got 12 likes and a comment from a guy named Drew that said they can't keep a real one down. They can. It's called a probation officer. Jenna texted on the first day she could. It came at 7:12 a.m., a time she knows I'm awake because this is a city full of runners and men who believe coffee is prayer. "Can I send a letter?" she wrote. "I won't send it if you say no." I stared at the text for a long time. Then I typed, "No." She replied, "Okay, sorry." It felt like a humane ending in a world that loves cliffhangers. If you're keeping score, I kept the apartment, changed the couch, threw away the wide-brim hat, kept the cast iron, kept the dog, kept my job, kept my name. I deleted the playlist. I added "No Zell 500 without in person" to the file I give to my future girlfriends with the "I cook and I will label your breaker box" speech. I learned a new sentence that tastes better than you expect. I don't do panic. Tell me what you'd have done. Would you have transferred the 20 and prayed, or kept him on the line and hoped the map would do what math couldn't? Would you have confronted her in the hallway, or waited for an officer to knock and let the room explain itself? Would you have lifted the order for closure, or done what I did? Choose quiet over ceremony and sleep over speeches. Drop your take in the comments. If this story kept you listening, hit like so. It finds the next person getting a photo from last year's sunset and a demand for money disguised as love. Subscribe for more long, messy, true-feeling stories where the twist isn't a masked man. It's an AirTag ping, a Buc-ee's stop, and a decision not to let your own name become a lever.